Hi, Chris Cameron here, coming to you from stormy Florida today. One of our rare thunderstorms here, although it's still beautiful out, and temperature is very nice. So anyway, I want to continue my series on success, and this one has to do with timelines. And I've talked about time in general, but there's also more you can focus on. One thing is with timelines, you might be wondering, what can I do with that, But every event that kind of comes to fruition starts from a seed. I've talked about that. So things take time to occur. So with different events, different activities, different pursuits and goals, you have timelines. Realizing there's a timeline gives you a couple things to think about. And maybe you haven't thought about these before. But I've spent a lot of time learning to be happier and more successful and more motivated and happier in my life. And timelines are very important. So when you're looking at a timeline, you want to allow enough time for things to come to completion in a way that will really help and influence your life. You also want to, by allowing that time and understanding it takes time, you want to plan the next step. So say if you're building a house or refurbishing a house, which I've done several times, refurbing or rehabbing a house, is you look at the whole process. You don't have to look at it right away, but of course I'm assuming you understand the process. So the first steps would be to find a house. And part of that is finding somebody to help you with that. That could be a realtor, it could be an investor friend, it could be calling people. Well, let's say you've obtained the house, made the deal, and all those things occurred on a timeline. Where my example occurs is if you're fixing up the house. What you don't really want to do is call one contractor, get an estimate, wait around till he gets time to do the job, and wait till he finishes the job and pay him. And then after you paid him, then start thinking about the next step. Because you wasted possibly a week, maybe 2 weeks of your time. And a tightly scheduled house rehab can happen anytime between 30 days and 6 months. A poorly scheduled one can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. That means 2 years of payments that you are not getting anything for. Either you're fixing it up to sell or fixing it up to rent. So you don't have any money coming in. You have expenses going out for an extra possibly year and a half, up to a year and a half or better, depending how poorly you manage it. So what you want to do is, while that contractor is there, you should already have the next fella or the next company that's going to do work on your house, or the next crew, if you have your own crew, go and get estimates on that house. Excuse me. And they should be ready to start right away. Like whenever they are ready, then you can begin that step. And we'll assume it has to be after the first crew is done. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to make sure that they're ready to go within either the day they're done or within a day or two of them being done. So you have very little wasted time. That house is not sitting empty with nobody working on it. That's one thing. You want to do the timeline work and the scheduling and the estimates and the phone calls, so you're still working even though nobody can work in that house with that one crew for whatever reason. Maybe they're doing flooring or painting and they need access to the entire house. Nobody else can be there. But beyond that, not only can you have the next crew ready the minute the first crew's done or thereabouts, But you can have multiple crews working on that house. That's just the inside of the house. Can somebody be re-roofing it? Can somebody be working on the outside electrical or the AC or the landscape? So you really want these things to overlap as much as possible. You would like to see 3 crews working in there on any given day. Now you have to arrange the timeline so they're not working over top of each other. You also want to make sure that once their work is done, it's not trampled by the next crew. Like, you don't want to put flooring in and then have a bunch of construction people come in and muck it up, or have the lawn done and you still have to bring, tractors on site or something, and that tears up the lawn. So don't be silly about it. Think about your timeline. Again, that's another thing to think about, is don't do things in the wrong order. It costs you a lot of money. It costs you a lot of time. A friend of mine did a whole house. Beautiful house. Then they checked the drains. Turned out the tub drain was clogged up. Somebody had put concrete in it, maybe a weak-minded tenant that thought that somehow that was going to show them or, tell them something. Minor stuff. But he waited till the bathroom was retiled, so he had to take part of it apart to fix it. They actually found out that rather than taking it apart, they could use a chemical to dissolve it, and over time they got it cleared out. But you want to do things in time when they're due. You don't want to have slack time where nothing's going on, and you don't want to have time where it's causing actually more work. So that's my example from that, and not many people get to work on houses or have to work on houses, but that kind of mindset, when you're working on one thing, you can plan the other. You can start asking other people for information so that the book or materials arrive in time for you to work on it. Don't wait and say, oh, well, okay, I finished this document, now I need to get a book that I'm going to use to develop something else. And when you're all done with everything, you're sitting on your hands, okay, now I'll order the book. And you sit around waiting for the book. It's just silly. You could have done that and look at lead time so things arrive, what they call just in time. There's a thing in industry called just-in-time shipping. And that means that when you try to order things, you want them to arrive in time to put right on the machine or the project. You don't want them sitting in the warehouse doing nothing, tying up your cash, and you don't want them holding up the machine because they haven't come in yet. So you really want them sitting on the shelf for maybe a day or two. Some industries can have it so they're sitting on the shelf for only an hour. So that's my thing about timeline. It's very important to watch that and pay attention to it, and make sure that it's reaching your goals, that you're not letting time go by that you could have used to get the next step done. So a little bit longer video. Sorry about that length there. Thank you so much for watching. If you like it, please smash the like button. Thank you.